and welcome to Around the Scene, presented to you by Playing with Rockets. I'm your host, Ryan, and joining me, as always, is Daddy Perino. How you doing, man?
I'm doing great, Ryan. I am so glad that you are here with me this week. There was a lot of concern. The great kind of concern. Listen,
Yeah.
I'm super excited for you and your family, with this child along the way, but I was really nervous about your availability this week, and I'm really, really glad that you're here. I'll tell you that much.
Yeah, it's good to be here. Obviously, for those of you who are watching or listening, no baby yet. Today is actually like the due date that the doctors told us, and we went to the doctor this morning. Still nothing. She is now no longer going into work. She's staying home, and I tell you, I have never seen someone work so hard at something. She is looking up every which way to Sunday for how you get this baby out. So she's like, should I eat? She's like, you're supposed to eat spicy foods. You're supposed to eat this. You're supposed to do this. You're supposed to do that. So she's been like just all over the place doing everything today, and I'm like, At least you have something to do today.
Something to at least take your mind off.
She went to work yesterday, and she just kept texting me throughout the day. I kept trying to tell her not to go to work this week because I knew I was like, it's gonna be hard for you. She kept texting me throughout the day. She's like, this is horrible. She's like, I don't want to be here. I'm like, I told you to stay home.
Well, how do you even focus on anything?
Well,
like,
that's her thing. Is
done?
She was like, if I stay home, I'm not going to get anything done. And I told her to her face, I was like, you're not going to get anything done if you go to work. So
yeah, especially all your coworkers are going to be concerned too. Like, what if it happens like while she's at work, and then you got to deal with all of that. Like,
so it's one of those few times that, like, as a man, I can say I was right in the argument with my wife. So I can be proud of that.
Yeah, you better delete that out of the episode.
Oh no. She has fully acknowledged. She's like, this is one of the few times you're right. And I'm like, I knew it. I'm like, score one. Yeah, let's go.
we take one victory for the boys.
Yeah, we take that dub. But guys, if you like this and you want to be a part of the show, I know we were talking about babies and stuff, but if you like all that stuff, be sure to go follow us on Twitch, Twitter, the podcast services you may be listening to us. We would love to have you with us. Our Twitter handle and our Twitch handle are both the same. It is at PWR_leagues. You can follow me at PWR_Ryan. You can follow him at Perino TV. But guys, if you like this is the show in which you can get everything you like about Rocket League. We go through the news, we go through roster trades, everything that there is to know. And we don't always talk about, me winning my battles with my wife. That is just a start of the show thing. From here on out, we got just Rocket League, baby. So today, Perino, we got 3 items here on the news segment. You ready to jump in?
Absolutely, Ryan. Let's do it.
All right. So our first thing on the news is Dazarin has announced the $20,000 Wave Dash tournament, and it is pretty big. I mean, $20,000, a lot of money there on the line. He has a cool post that has a nice promo made by Little Cat Steps, who is a phenomenal editor there. It's another cool event, another thing to, satiate us until RLCS 11 is announced.
Yeah, and the one thing that I really love about this event, from my understanding, is that there's no gimmicks. There's no mix-up teams. There's no, inter-regional transatlantic server nonsense. It's North America. It's the best teams in North America playing 3v3 in a tournament for $20K. Simple as you like. And I have to say that it's a breath of fresh air for me personally. I love the other stuff that gets done content-wise with the esports scene, during the off-season.
Yeah.
That is the time to really mix it up and throw different stuff out there. I just want pure 3v3, man. I don't want to be that guy, but I am that guy. I love having the best teams play with their best lineups and with the people that they've been practicing with. And, when everyone's playing at their best, that makes me as a viewer very happy. So I'm excited for this one.
Yeah, well, and it's another thing, too, of it's sort of like that teaser before RLCS 11 about how some of these teams may stack up, especially with some of the roster changes that have happened recently. It's also hopefully going to help get some of these orgs moving along with their announcements, because Man, these orgs just love to take their time with these announcements of trades, and I tell you, there's nothing more annoying. Nothing is more annoying than how long they take to do these announcements.
Well, I think the half of that issue there is that we don't have a start date for season 11 yet. If we had a date, there would be more pressure, I think, to come out with the official announcements for roster things and not be reliant on rumors and whispers of the wind to make us formulate our opinions about which rosters are going to do better than others. But we give the org some time. Listen, you gotta milk it for what you can,
I guess, but there's just times where I'm like, all right, come on, we know where this is going. Just give us the freaking announcement already. Like, we know what you're doing. Just go ahead and do it. So hopefully this just gets some of them to move along, or they're gonna have to inadvertently just let everybody find out, because we're gonna see their 3 players in the event, which I doubt any of them would want. But now it puts sort of a better timeline for some of these orgs to kick out their announcements. So hopefully we start learning final rosters for some of these orgs very soon. But I'm with you though. More 3v3. I'm always happy to see it. It feels like it's been forever since we've had like a proper tournament where like we're seeing all the like rosters that practice and play together regularly. I mean, we've just been doing so many of these mixed up roster things, and yeah, it's been 3v3, but the mixed roster thing, it's cool for a little bit, and after a while you're like, okay, none of y'all play together typically. You may like casually team up, but you don't play together like you do as a team, so it's just different.
Well, right, because we're getting the most elevated form of Rocket League that you can find. When you have actual professional teams playing together, that's the highest level that we get, and that's what I'm excited for. I just want to see the best teams, again, in North America.
Yeah, this is a North American
the best teams
event.
in North America. Yeah, big asterisk there for any of our international listeners. Listen, I'm not trying to throw shade, but get them all together, 3v3. Straight up tournament. Daz is a good dude. I'm excited that he's getting the opportunity to do events like this. He's again one of those guys that has been in the scene a long time, and he's making plays, he's making moves, and I'm glad that he's getting the opportunity to do this in conjunction with Psyonix.
Yeah, this is officially a Psyonix sponsored event as well. So that is where he's getting this 20K. He ain't pulling it out of nowhere. But
listen, RLCS pays okay. I don't know if it pays that well.
We'll talk about that more later.
Oh, will we?
But all in all, cool, excited. It's another event to get us through the off season. So can't complain.
Yeah. Again, I'm really looking forward to this one. Hopefully, it is at a time that I can actually watch it. I don't have anything else going on. I am going to my stepbrother's wedding the weekend after Labor Day weekend, and I have a feeling that something's going to happen.
It's going to be when it's scheduled.
I'm going to miss it.
They're going to schedule it that day. They're like, Perino can't watch. Done.
Yep. That's how things get determined. Maybe I should just schedule myself out for the rest of the year so that way we get the RLCS 11 announcement.
Maybe.
Yeah, that's the way to do it.
Just never make yourself available, and they're like, oh,
right.
Perfect timing.
Yep. Nailed it.
But yeah, not too much more to discuss on this one, unless there's anything else you want to mention about it.
Nope, I am all set.
All right, moving on to our next bit of news. RL Oceania has returned, and they are going to be presenting their Gauntlet Season 4, which is a 5-week tournament, and it's been something they've done several times, so very excited to see them coming back. They did take a bit of a stop there. I can't remember exactly why they stopped, but they did make their return finally. So happy for Oceania to start getting more events and stuff again.
Yeah, great news for that region. I think this is a pretty well-respected organization, I would say across the pond, but typically when I mean that, I mean Europe. So that's like across the world, really, to get to Oceania. And Yeah, again, always great to have good names, getting back in the mix and doing some fun things. I typically don't watch a lot of Oceania Rocket League, if any, because I'm not a true fan, so I just don't have the time.
There's
the
too many
time zone
regions
difference
now. When it was just North America and Europe and it was the, round robin regular league play, you were able to follow everything. Now there's just too much going on. You can't.
Yeah, well, the time zones really are the biggest thing too. It's also, with that, comes getting older, and you and I have adult responsibilities, and we just can't sit there and watch tournaments at 3:00 in the morning like I used to do. Honestly, you know, back in the day, but
you're like,
not now.
I have to be up at 6 a.m. for work, so not watching that.
There's only so much that I can consume for Rocket League content, but again, I think this is really good for the Oceanic teams. Same thing, gives a bit of a primer headed into the season, and gives all those guys a chance to compete. So, yeah.
I
stuff.
do not see anything about this being sponsored by Psionic, so I'm going to assume it is not. I'm going to assume this is all funded by Rocket League Oceania, so, but good on them. It's 1,200
Australian dollars.
Australian dollars. I wanted to say that, but I was like, for some reason, that feels like that's just a meme, and I'm totally wrong if I said that. But yeah, 1,200.
It is the Australian dollar.
1,200 Australian
You made me
dollars.
Google it because you made me doubt it.
Because that's what I wanted to say, but I was like, I don't know. That feels like I'm like memeing if I say Australian dollar.
No, but I mean that's actually what
for
it's called.
for all I
AUD,
knew,
the
it could have
Australian
been
dollar.
1,200 didgeridoos. I don't know.
1,200 kangaroos.
We don't know this stuff. But no, excited for them. Again, more competition in each region is always a good thing. The more opportunities to have that competition happen, always a good thing. I'm always for it. And excited to see these guys come back.
No question. Yeah, it's always nice when we bring back organizations from the dead,
Yeah. Well,
Imagine that.
yeah. Imagine that.
Imagine that, yeah.
Yeah, imagine that. Oh, jeez. Yeah, tournaments are never
Hey,
happening with us again. That's never coming back. God,
Not for the league play. Only for the name for the
everybody
podcast, okay?
who was a part of it now has big people jobs. We can't we can't do that.
And a lot of the people who were a part of it also have real big people jobs within esports too. So that's also really cool to see. But we can't bring them back. There's no way. It's not a possibility. So don't ask us about tournaments, but ask us about the podcast.
Speaking of big people jobs within esports, Furtive Raccoon, our next news item. He had a big boy job within esports, helping, run a lot of stuff within RLCS as one of the dear sweet admins. If you ever saw, admin pause for the game, several times it would say Furtive Raccoon or Furtive or whatever. It would say something along his name, pause the game before they would switch back to the casters. He is not continuing with RLCS production for Season 11. And he made a twit longer. We're not going to read the whole twit longer because it is massive. So if you get the chance, go look up Furtive Raccoon on Twitter. His handle is @Furtive_Raccoon. Just go take a look at it if you get the chance. We'll discuss, generally what he talks about here for why he's not going to be a part of RLCS anymore. But initial thoughts, Perino, I'm sad. I'm sad that Furtive is not going to be around any longer.
Yeah, so this is someone who did so much work behind the scenes. He's not a character that you would hear about on a broadcast necessarily. In fact, the only way that you probably would see his name is when he is doing those admin pauses.
Yeah.
But, if you, again, take the chance to go to his Twitter and look at the announcement, just look under the tweet and read the replies from so many people within the scene talking about what a devastating loss is. Ryan and I can say so much about it, but listen and hear the testimony from other people who are very well connected as well, because this guy was everywhere behind the scenes. He did so much more than just being, the day of production for RLCS, and there are people who are much more qualified to talk about what exactly he did. I mean, the gist of it is, he sort of glued together the whole day, for the production and the players and the orgs, whatever. Like, he did a lot. And yeah, first reaction is what a loss for the scene. But the reason why, so this announcement was unique in the sense that Furtive was not shy about posting why he didn't continue with RLCS.
Yeah, he put it all out there, that's for sure. Which, honestly, though, massive respect for him putting everything out. Like, first and foremost, massive respect, because I think too often we're afraid to put out this type of information because you feel like you're supposed to keep some of it private. But massive respect to him for putting it all out there. So, rather than kind of being around the bush, we'll explain now why he is not leaving. So, Furtive Raccoon, he has done a lot. He did a lot for RLCS, but he has also done a lot of freelance things as well. He has been all over the place. The search tournament that we talked about constantly over the podcast, he was one of the head people who helped run that whole thing. And he did a really good job with the whole thing. But Psyonix offered him and I'm summarizing here, so again, if you want to see like the full details, like numbers and everything, go read his post. If you're ever gonna read anything for this podcast, go read this,
Yes.
because the numbers here are extremely important, and I'll talk a little bit about some of them. But he talks about what the day rate was for being an admin and stuff for a lot of RLCS stuff, and it was like $250 to $300 a day, which in most people's worlds, that's a lot of money. In the world of esports, that is not a whole lot of money, especially when you consider some of the other parts of production, like he mentions, where the people are getting paid $2,000 a day, and you see that difference there, and you kind of we're like, well, that's not really exactly fair. But he was offered he talks about how much money he makes currently with his freelance stuff and his RLCS gig. He says that he makes well over $60,000 a year. And Psyonix approached him with the offer to become a full-time employee for them, running basically a lot of stuff for North America. He doesn't go into the scope necessarily, but he does state that the scope of the position that he was being offered is typically a six-figure salary. And he states that he was offered less than $60K. And so he tried to negotiate with Psyonix for higher pay. He didn't even try to go for a full six figures. He tried to offer less than 90, he said. And they still denied that and said no. And this is without benefits either for any of this, which is a huge thing. Like, if you're going to go salary, like, you should be getting benefits typically. And for what he said in this industry, the position typically would be six figures with full-time benefits. So, yeah, lot wrong with that, honestly, up front. And so he said that, he made that decision of he had various efforts of communication with Psyonix to try and negotiate this. And he said that, he exhausted every avenue that he could to discuss this with them to try and negotiate to what is a proper thing that he could be happy with. Because this full-time position also negated his ability to do any more freelance work as well. So that, again, takes away some of the income that he already makes. And Furtive, he's the same age as me. He's 28. Once you start getting older, finances become such a big deal because it determines how you're going to do anything. You know, I have a kid on the way. Like if I didn't consider finances to be important, like I would be a terrible father and parent for one. But I would be a terrible provider to my family, and honestly, kind of a shitty adult. So you should be thinking about those things as you get older, which he did here, and he ultimately made the decision. I'm not going to stick around. I can do better elsewhere, doing the things I'm currently doing, still make more than what you're willing to offer me. So this isn't my home, unfortunately, and that sucks. Honestly, this sucks to see that this is the reason that he's not sticking around.
Yeah, and so there's there are a lot of things to dig into with all of that. So first of all, one of the big things, and Ryan and I were talking, a bit before we hit the record button here, on our
About
weekly
behind the
catch-up.
scenes stuff.
Yeah, about some behind the scenes stuff. And one of the big things that we both Ryan and I harp on are professionalism and understanding your worth.
Mm-hmm.
Both are critical to your success, not just in esports, if that's the route that you're deciding to go, but in life, truly.
Yeah.
You have to make decisions that are in your best interest, always. That's just part of the world that we live in. There are, for anything career-wise, like, there's no loyalty. There's no, what's the word I'm looking for? There's no fallback, right? Like, if you are working for someone, and you have the chance to do something better, you do something better, because that's knowing your worth, right? Understanding your value. Esports in particular has a massive problem where so many people want to get on the in that they lowball themselves. They put in so much effort and so much time, and in many cases do incredible work for either straight up no money or for very little money.
Yeah.
And Furtive is in a good spot here to negotiate with Psyonix because he has other things going on. He's a freelancer, right?
Yeah.
He doesn't work just for Psyonix.
Well, he has that leverage of, I make more than what you're offering me.
Right. And he's very blessed in that not only, can he do that, but also willing to share that information. Like, that
Yeah, that's the biggest
such
thing
an
to me.
outstanding move because it betters the entirety of the industry, straight up. When people can actually see the numbers and see what people are offering and what they're currently making, it gives everyone collectively better negotiating power. So that way people aren't working for free and they're not being taken advantage of. Again, so many people working in esports get taken advantage of.
Yeah.
And it's just this, race to the bottom, really, is the way that I would describe it, with so many positions where a position is advertised and you get great people applying, but because there are so many people that want to do work in esports, it just drives the rates closer and closer to zero, where in many cases people straight up don't get paid.
Yeah.
Whether that's by contract or because people just don't pay them because they don't respect them. That both of those things happen very frequently. So I have can't even put it into words how much respect and admiration I have for Furtive to even just say, like, this is straight up the reason I was making, freelance, like, north of $60,000. He didn't really put an exact number on it, but, like, this is what I was making. This is what they offered. This is what this position is worth, and that's why I said no. Straight up. That's what it is. And I had give him all of the plaudits on earth for putting that out there for public information, just so everyone knows. Like, everyone knows that's why.
No, and I mean, I'm fully with you. I think, being able to come out and say straight up, like, all of this information, huge kudos. And thank you, honestly, because
seriously,
there's plenty of times where I think we want to speak out on the things that go on behind the scenes for esports productions, But I think a lot of us hold off on saying something because we don't want it to damage our reputation with other future, potential contracts that we want to try and get and stuff. There have been numerous instances where I have been part of the process, applying to, auditioning, if you will, to be a caster. And I have found various times where I see someone else who gets it for what feels like a very unfair reason. And I think that, we see a lot of stupid things that happen behind the scenes in esports that you don't always want to say anything about because, again, you're worried that it's going to hinder your ability to do any work in esports in the future. Here, though, honestly, I wish I could be like Furtive because there's plenty of things that I would love to always speak out on, but I don't for the reasons I stated. And I honestly, I'm extremely proud of him to be able to come out and say that.
No question. I just had someone today, and I talked to you about this again before the show where I was discussing this, where, same thing. A caster was effectively interviewing, auditioning, negotiating, however you want to put it, for an event. And I don't really want to, I'm not going to say names, obviously. But this is someone who's very, relatively new to casting, definitely on the beginner side. And this would be like their first, quote unquote, big event. And they're like, how much do I charge? Honestly, because he didn't know. And who are you going to ask, right? And I'm friends with this person. I've also worked, my way up from doing events like the one that he's applying to, to where we are now. And it's so hard. It's so hard for people to actually give numbers. And I told him straight up. I said, listen, if it were me, if I were you, this is the number I'm going with. You tell them that, and see what they say.
Yeah.
But, and this is the inherent problem. I know for a fact that this person is effectively competing against other people for the same job. A lot of talented, good people. Yeah. And what happens in that instance is the price just goes down and down and down. People will negotiate lower because they want to get the experience. Yeah. And I can
they are going for the payment and exposure crap.
For this one, I don't necessarily think that's the case, but
that's part of why they that's part of why they lower it is because they see the exposure they'll be getting as payment as well. It's not the org that's saying that; it's the caster that is seeing that. Is what I mean. Because I've seen plenty of casters who will lower their money because they think I have to be a part of this event because it's going to put me on the map, and it's not.
Exactly. And there's so many things wrong with it. And because we all operate individually, right? It's all freelance. We're all, again, realistically, we're all competing against one another with esports freelance to land the same jobs. There are only so many jobs, and there are hundreds, if not thousands of people willing to take them at any point. And it just drives it all to the bottom. And it's so frustrating because, and this is what I said to this person too, look, this is the event, or this is the rate that I would go with for this event. But I'm telling you now, there are probably people who are going to go low because it's a good opportunity with, as you said, it's a relatively strong prestige kind of thing where people are going to shoot low and you probably will get undercut from the amount that I just told you. And that sucks. It just sucks. And there's nothing you can do unless you're Furtive Raccoon and you come out and say, this is what I make. This is what is my day rate. This is the rate that was offered to me. This is where I negotiated. And he has the power to do that. More credit to him. A lot of us don't. We can't rock the boat that way. And the only thing that I'll say publicly is, again, rates are tough. If you have any questions about negotiating, if you're a caster or a producer or whatever in esports and you have questions about rates, DM me, please, on Twitter, @PerinoTV. I will tell you in private what I would negotiate for pretty much anything.
Yeah.
Because there's no good way of getting around it, and it only hurts the collective when people in esports go for the lowest common denominator, or they go for the lowest bid. And it's
especially
very, very
especially if they get a caster who does decently well, and they manage to get the person for extremely cheap, then they are going to think that that is the norm. They're going to think, oh, I can get this level of talent for this price. So when they go make their budgets to do another event with Rocket League or whatever esport in the future, they are going to be like, this is what we were able to do last time. We can budget for maybe a little bit more this time or about the same. And that's what happens when these things, if you're a caster and you think about, I'm just going to take any event I can get, I'm going to, go for the low price because that's what is going to get me in or anything like that, don't undersell yourself. Don't do it. And even if you're not a caster, if you're a tournament organizer, if you're a broadcaster, do not undersell yourself, because that is how we end up with everybody not being offered what they are worth. And this is really just a good thing for Furtive Raccoon, because he knew his worth. He knew what he should be getting paid for this position. And he knew, all the things that he's supposed to be getting in that position. But he also knew that, maybe they didn't budget for that. Maybe there is no way for them to offer that, and that's something that you can always negotiate for in the future. I mean, granted, if you're going above 60K and you're getting paid that per year, a lot of people are pretty happy with that, honestly.
It's good money,
yeah.
But you have to respect the talent level and the workload and the commitment that you're putting forward. Like it's a when you get to that level, where you're starting to negotiate like full-time positions and you're approaching like 6-figure salaries and stuff, like you have to drive the table in your direction. You have to be aggressive, frankly, because people will always undercut, always.
Well,
and companies will undercut.
Well, and that's even for just regular jobs. This isn't even specific to esports at this level. It is just you have to really be able to negotiate and know what you're getting into, know what you're worth. For my position that I have now at the YMCA, for the longest time, I was just paid what I was before I got this position, and I had to talk with them multiple times and renegotiate it. Now I'm getting paid better, still not where I should be, still not where I want to be. Same for some of my coworkers, because this is a new thing. They don't know. They're still trying to figure out how they're supposed to even pay us. And we understand that, though, and they're willing to sit at the table with us. We're willing to sit at the table with them. There's an understanding that things will change. This seems like a discussion in which Furtive did everything he could to negotiate what is fair, what is sustainable, what should happen, and didn't see a reliable path forward, and that sucks. And I look at that too, though, as that's pretty, I'm going to say it, shitty of ESL and Psyonix to not be offering a proper rate for this position. Pretty shitty. You should, as big of a company as they are, they should be able to handle that type of hiring much better than they did.
But you know what the problem is? That they probably will find someone for something close to that rate. And even with Furtive coming out and saying it, odds are they can find someone who is willing to do it. They may not be as good. The talent or the production level may take a hit because they may not have,
at the end of the day,
at
the end of the day, when RLCS 11 has North America, because this was a North America specific position, when something is fucked up with North America, we know exactly who to point the finger at. It's not at whoever takes this position. It's straight at Psyonix and ESL, because they had a proper conversation with someone who knew better. They know better, and they still could not come to an agreement on this. If anything is messed up with North America, fully on Psyonix and ESL for that shitstorm.
Yeah, and it sucks because we know the amazing quality of work that Furtive puts in.
Yeah.
Like, this guy is one of the best, and he's probably the best for Rocket.
He's been working with them for so long, too. That's what gets me the most, is I'm like, he has done so much work with Psyonix. He's done so much work with ESL. And to see that, like, this is the outcome is pathetic. Like, it's just, but it's also just sad. Like, it's so sad that it's like, you know, you can show so much effort, so much dedication, so much loyalty, and, you know, show that you're good at what you do and be treated like this. Be treated to, you're not worth the amount of money that you should be getting paid. That's pathetic.
Yeah, it's tough. I have always held the opinion, both in public and private, that the esports division for Psyonix is simply just not a priority, and unfortunately that's part of what you see here. You know, straight up, if it was a priority, they would have paid him. I mean, honest to God.
Oh, I'm not shaking my head because I disagree. I'm shaking my head because you're right. You're absolutely 100% right.
If it was that much of a priority to them for this company to make this esport the best in the world and the best that it can possibly be, they would have paid him.
Yep.
I mean, it's really that simple. And you know, that's just kind of the unfortunate reality, though, is that I'm not sure that the developer in this instance, you know, has the esport as a strong priority. We've seen it with many a decision in the past, and continually up until this point. It's just, I don't feel that the esports division for Psyonix is very much a priority at all. And this is just another casualty of that attitude.
Yeah,
it's sad. It is really sad.
And but again, you're gonna keep driving away good people because you're not willing to meet them in the middle. Again, he said he wasn't even asking for what the market rate is for this position. He was willing to negotiate down from the market rate amount by a good bit, it seems, and they still couldn't agree with him on that. That's pathetic. And the fact that he can make more freelancing than this set company is willing to pay him is just pathetic, especially when they make a lot of money. They make good money. And I'm not saying that, you know, you can wipe away everything with that response, but again, if you're going to hire for this position and you know what the market rate is for it, you should be budgeting for what the market rate is and what the market benefits are for this position. Pathetic. It's sad, it's stupid, it's dumb, it's any other thing you can come up with. It is on Psyonix for just being terrible in this situation. Same with ESL, because they both work hand in hand to run RLCS. And it sucks because we just lost someone really good who could have made sure that everything ran very well. And again, I'm not saying anything's going to go wrong this season for North America because of this decision. But if anything does go wrong, and there are mistakes, and there are things that go awry, it's 100% on them. 100%. There's no one else that can be blamed for it.
You have to retain your talent. You know, it's just the reality of the job market, at least here in the United States, where companies aren't willing to do it. Again, not just in esports, but in all industries. You know, talent retention is really difficult because people have found that the best way to, you know, improve their income and, you know, improve their, you know, overall, you know, position and title and all of that is to leave.
Yeah.
90% of the time, the best way to do it is to leave. You know, and, you know, bless Furtive, you know, he knows that he has other things that he can do. You know, where it's not a concern for him. He had all the leverage in the world. And so I don't think that I don't want to speak for him because, again, I don't know him too well, but you know, he has to just be like, well, whatever, you know, he did everything he could. He has other options though. He has other options, and so he's exercising them. Okay, yeah, that's just how it is. I mean, oh well. if Silence doesn't want to pay, then they just don't want to pay. I mean, there's only so much you can do to that extent. So, yeah, it's as you can tell, I think some of our frustration about other things is, leaking into this a little bit. But it is a very pervasive issue within esports of people doing phenomenal work and putting in so much time and effort and just not being compensated for it. It goes much further beyond this individual issue.
Yeah. No, I think you're right. I think that some of my anger with it definitely has to stem off of other issues I've seen within esports. But it's just... Why can't esports just operate like anything else?
They don't make enough money.
They
it's
do,
all venture
though.
capital.
They
That's why.
do make enough money, though. In a lot of instances, they make enough money, and it just bugs me so much how they handle so many things. I mean, I wish that they handled many aspects in a more professional way than they seem to do. Again, if you're hiring for a position, know what the market rate is. Know what that position is worth and be ready to offer the market rate for that position. If you're going to be looking for talent, if you're going to be looking for people to broadcast, if you're going to be looking for any of these things, do it in a professional way. Like, do things in the way that they are done in the real world. I just wish that esports could just move on and be like the rest of the world in that regard, because I am frustrated left and right by how esports handles so many different things. And it's not just Psyonix, it's not just ESL, it's just esports. And I don't know what it is.
Right.
And I've been in this space for 4 years, 5 years now, and I still don't fucking get it. I don't.
It's
like the deeper I get, the more
confused
I get about why the space is the way it is.
Yeah, and the funny thing is that I found as well, I would say that I've been doing this for about 3 years, is that the issues that you see at the bottom somehow oftentimes still manifest themselves at the very top of the level. It doesn't get better. That's the problem.
That's what I mean, is like, it just doesn't make sense. I'm like, you think that it's just the struggles of breaking into the industry. No, it's just the industry as a whole is shit.
Yeah, it's really, really tough out there for people. I see it all the time. Again, I have someone, mentioned earlier, just hitting me up. How do I get paid? What do I even charge for this? But you can't get that kind of information. I will go on the record. I like, there are two people I would say that have really helped me in that regard. And if they're listening, Mark from Nerd Street Gamers, again, got me started doing casting and really helped me, prove my worth. And Corey from Team Envy, both of those guys helped me so much in just negotiating this space. They are both great people for their respective organizations, and we need a lot more people like that who are willing to help others rise up, and mentor people really along the way. That's why I'm truly serious. If you're listening right now and you're in the space and you have questions or concerns about getting paid, compensation of any kind, seriously, talk to me and I will help you. And because we're all better when we lift each other up. That's really what it is. We are all better when we lift each other up and we do the right thing for one another. That's I don't know. Ooh.
I'm probably done talking about this news topic.
We don't want to go off the rails here.
I know that I'll just get more heated the more I talk about it, because just it's frustrating doing esports work. Thankfully I've gotten in to, be able to do some esports work at the YMCA and with some other things, to where it's like, for me, I'm not worried and I'm pretty happy with where I am, and I am very fortunate where I am. But it's just, for some people trying to get in, it's frustrating. And after both of us have been through the frustrating paths of it and experienced it firsthand, it sucks. But if you ever need help, reach out to either of us, because we'll happily try to help you, know what you're worth. Like, because I think at the end of the day, that's what it comes down to. You have to know what you're worth.
And you have to truly be willing to say no. That's the other thing.
Yeah, and I think that's the biggest thing is being able to say no when opportunity comes your way if you don't agree with it. If you know that the opportunity is a low ball, say no. It's okay. There's nothing, and you know what? There's a lot of power in saying no for anything, not just esports, in life. There's a lot of power in saying no, and if you can say, like, fortunately, you know, most people who are doing esports, trying to get into it, they're doing other things outside of esports. You know, I mean, both of us have done, you know, jobs outside of esports. Esports was kind of like a side thing that we hope turns into something else, but you have the ability to say no. If you have the ability to say no, say no.
One of our best opportunities was because we said no. And I'll say that much about that. Right?
100%. I wasn't actually even thinking about that, but 100% you are spot on with that.
Yeah. For Ryan and I, one of the best opportunities we have ever had was because we said no to something else.
Didn't even cross my mind, honestly, but you're right.
But it's you know, honest, like, hand to God, it really is the reason, you know, because we stood up for ourselves, really, you know, and life finds a way, you know, as they say, and
we'll leave it at that.
You know, it worked out for us. There is a lot of power in being able to say no, because a lot of people won't.
Yeah.
And that's what's hard, because you see it all the time where people bend over backwards to be a part of certain things, and it's just not worth it. It's really
and the other thing too is the lie of, you know, for artists and stuff, the whole thing of like, I'll pay you an exposure. They understand that the exposure thing isn't going to help them. But I think a lot of casters still think, oh, if I just get in front of enough people, if I just am on this one big cast, like, that's what's going to do it for me. It's not. It's one big event is not going to do it for you. I have done, you know, a couple big events that I think, oh, this could be the one. No, doesn't really change anything. Things kind of keep going the way they are. And I'm not saying I'm unhappy with how things are going for myself. And I don't think Perino's necessarily.
You and I are very
thing.
Blessed,
but
in many
at
ways.
The end of the day,
Let's be clear.
Don't mislead yourself that, you know, because you get to be in this one broadcast that might have like 1,000, 2,000 viewers, like, that's going to change your life. It's not. It won't. And I think I am going to leave it at that.
Yeah, you know, we got pretty intense there, but it is something that is very deeply
it's near and dear to both of us.
Passionate for both of us, yeah. So, you know, it definitely when I saw that across the timeline today, you know, I saw it like right before I left work. You know, I was even feeling it then. You know, I was feeling it the whole ride home, sitting in traffic, like, you know, just thinking about it, and like the experiences both of, you know, trying to actively help someone with this issue, and then seeing, you know, a much more public facing issue for a much, you know, bigger role and, you know, much larger amount of money. Like, it's hard. Yeah. And we do care a lot because we just want people to succeed. So yeah, I think we've said more than enough on this issue. Again, it's probably one of the more intense segments you'll ever hear from one of us.
I would say it's largely just because this is something that's near and dear to both of our hearts. Again, years of experience with it, you know. Yeah, at the end of the day, it just sucks. It sucks to see this, and all we can do is hope that there is change in the future. And I think it really does start with, you know, people who are just trying to get in and demanding better, and not even people who are just getting in, people even at the top demanding better. You have to demand better, because otherwise it's just not going to change. It's just going to keep going. It's going to keep on being a thing that's prevalent throughout the whole scene. And I don't think anybody wants that, especially if you want to have a career in it and you hope to, eventually raise a family, be a provider, you know, man or woman, whoever you are. You need, at the end of the day, money's important. People can say whatever they will. Money's important. You need it. But I think that's going to do it for us on that discussion. So that concludes our news segment. Now we're going to move on to the roster shuffle. We're going to take things a bit more lighthearted now because it's some fun announcements, some cool things to discuss. First up is Energy officially have re-signed their entire roster. I am so shocked, Perino.
Oh, you mean the best team in North America got a brand spanking new contract to continue to play Rocket League? Oh,
I am astounded.
You know, again, we're much more lighthearted. Talk about getting paid. These guys are getting paid. Yes, sir.
Yeah.
Those boys have earned it every step of the way. So great commitment from NRG. Again, tremendous org, tremendous team, a group of 3 amazing players.
And Sizz is also a part of that re-signing as well. Sizz has also re-signed with them. So all 4 of those guys doing extremely well, doing a lot of good work. I think a lot of us would have been more surprised if they didn't re-sign them.
Right.
But I think so many people just like were already expecting it. I'm surprised they didn't just announce this sooner. I guess they were probably still I guess they were still negotiating numbers or something before they made the official announcement. But nonetheless, cool to see the guys are sticking together. I don't think anybody's shocked by that.
No surprises there.
The next one, though, is a little bit more surprising, Perino. Dapper has been officially released from eUnited, and it seems as if Savvy Seal is the rumored replacement for him. How do you feel about that?
Savvy Seal must have had an amazing trial. I haven't seen anything from him in a while. I know that this was a player who was in the bubble scene for a long time. You know, I know he bounced around a couple of different rosters. He's played with some really great players. If it's true, he must have came out and had an incredible tryout experience. And he must really gel with the team because, yeah, wow, to release Dapper from eUnited, that's a lot. You know, I thought maybe, you know, they'd move on from Dapper. I thought that it was a possibility. Just crazy to me to go through it that way, and then this is the name, you know, to bring back in. I don't know. That's very, very shocking to me. Yeah. I'll say that.
I love Savvy Seal. I have watched and commentated numerous games of his. I do not know if this is a good pickup for them. And this is nothing about Savvy Seal per se. This isn't saying that he's a bad player. I think he's a good player. I just still don't know that he's at that level. And I'm not entirely sure what United is trying to do at this point. Because, you know, there are still several good players that are on the market right now that they could be going after, and I still don't understand why they're not going after them. I mean, I'm still shocked that they dropped Wanda Mike when they did. And I'm shocked they didn't try to pick him up again. I don't know why. But
yeah,
it just doesn't add up to me. And, I mean, yeah, I'm not sure what United's trying to do with this roster. I'm not sure what they're going for. I mean, I even see a bunch of people in the comments, like on these posts, on the post whenever Shift mentioned Savvy Seal being the rumored replacement, and just everybody was just like, what are you doing? Like, why is this your pickup when there's already all these other players that have more RLCS experience? And I think that's the biggest reason why I kind of have a little bit of doubts about picking up Savvy is, again, I love Savvy. I have talked with him personally. I know him. But at the end of the day, he just doesn't have that RLCS experience like several other players that could be picked up right now.
Yeah, it's an interesting one for sure. Obviously, this is still a rumor, so it hasn't happened yet. You know, obviously things can change. Shift is generally very, very good, though. They're very much on the nose with these things. So, yeah, I don't know. I mean, hopefully we get to see them play. You know, we can determine it based on the results. But for right now, it's a bit of a head scratcher.
Yeah. Yeah, I'm not entirely sure. Gonna be interested to see if Savvy is actually the replacement. Gonna be interested to see how the team plays. Because I believe as of right now, with the release of Dapper, I might have to Wikipedia this real quick, Perino, but I'm pretty sure they're just down to Tristan.
I would check the Wikipedia, but that sounds about correct.
No, it's Tristan and Ajax. They still have
Okay.
Ajax.
Well, Tristan, Ajax, Savvy. I mean, we'll see. We'll see.
Yeah. Their team currently is Ajax and Tristan as the starting roster, T-Bates as their sub, and then Raw Greg as the coach. So, I mean, they have a decent team, but I don't know. I feel like Wonder Mike would fit in really well with Ajax and Tristan, though, and I'm just a little surprised that that's not who it seems they're considering. Whatever.
You know, we're pretty well connected about certain things, but some of the roster moves, man, we couldn't tell you anything about.
I don't know.
So that one remains a mystery to us.
Move on to the next one, though. Sonics have officially released Shock and Roll Diz. And again, this is another one that Shift had rumored that they were both going to get picked up by Ghost. So now with Sonics officially dropping them, that does seem more likely. Again, Shift, they have been pretty accurate with most of their stuff when they make their announcements on those.
Yeah, it is the first, piece for that part of the puzzle to move. Again, I really love watching Shock, personally. He's one of my favorite players to watch in all of RLCS. He's really, really good. I think Ghost are going to be very happy, again, provided that is the destination.
Yeah.
Which we assume that it is. I think they're going to be really, really happy getting Shock and Roll Diz in there again. That's
Gonna be pretty
rumored,
stoked with that one. Move on to the next one, though. Pioneers, we're discussing them once again, Perino. But this time it is not a pickup. It is a massive drop. They are parting ways officially with Astro, Aeon, and their coach, Bob. But they are keeping Kronovi, and it seemed they did kind of tease him potentially having another role within the organization. So does that mean that Kronovi is no longer playing Rocket League? Question mark?
Who knows? I mean, yeah, it's hard to really say. The Pioneers have definitely been making moves and, maneuvering about the space. And, yeah, I'm not really sure where they're trying to go with it. Maybe having Kronovi as just purely a content creator, or, having
maybe
him
he's
as
the
some
coach
sort of
or
GM
manager or whatever.
coach role. Yeah.
Who knows?
I don't know.
Going to be interesting, though. I am very curious what happens with Kronovi in this process. I mean, Aeon and Astro, solid players. I think they're going to land on their feet. But Kronovi in particular, I'm very curious because since he left Rogue, he has been trying so hard to, find his place back within Pro Rocket League, and I'm just kind of curious where his path leads him moving forward. So definitely interesting right there. And then our final announcement, Virtuoso, Kisai, and Parka are officially teaming up for RLCS 11. They did not state a team name or anything like that, just stated that they are going to be teaming up. So, good on them.
Yeah, we finally get an answer to the Virtuoso saga. This is someone who's been rumored to seemingly go everywhere.
Yeah.
And so it's nice that we finally have the announcement. I truthfully don't know much about the two teammates.
Mm-hmm.
Again, EU, the new names coming in, all the teams in there. It's just sort of bouncing around in my brain. So I can't really attest to how good I think the team can be, but I know that there are a lot of people who are rooting for Virtuoso again. A very unique play style. Definitely one of the most fun players to watch when he's really playing well. He can be a nuisance, to say the least. And I'm looking forward to seeing him in action once again.
Yeah. Only time and results will tell how that team and every other team plays out. But that is going to conclude the roster shuffle. And you and me are approaching the end of our show now, Perino. So is there anything else you'd like to discuss or mention before we go into our closeout?
Well, again, I'm very happy that I managed to snag you for one more episode at least. Next week, for certain, guys, we're going to have someone else. No question about it. We are still working on finding said person. So, when we when we come out with the episode, we'll see. You know,
You'll
we'll
find
see.
out.
We'll see who we can scrounge
You'll
together.
find
You know,
out.
get on the desk with me. But yeah, another great episode. Very emotionally charged episode for the two of us. But sometimes you just gotta let it out. It feels
Yeah.
good. You know, I do really enjoy, you know, talking with you and, you know, sharing our thoughts. I think we are on the same page pretty often, and it's nice to, you know, get that, you know, weekly decompression. I think.
Yeah.
You know, hopefully for the betterment of our audience too. You know, for people who are
Hopefully
listening,
you
know.
guys feel like you're getting something out of our discussion.
Yeah, for real.
But yeah, no, dude, it was great chatting with you again. But this is, like he said, officially going to be my final episode for the time being. I'm for sure going to be out for the next 2 episodes, potentially 3, depending on how, you know, baby stuff goes. But I will be, you know, helping out behind the scenes with everything else, and Perino is going to be here to lead you guys through everything else. Along with who else we bring on. Again, we'll keep that as a surprise for you guys at home. But once again, thank you very much for joining us tonight. Be sure to follow us on Twitch, Twitter, YouTube, all those places, your podcast service of choice. And again, if you want to be a part of the show, you can go comment, you know, message at us, whatever, on Twitter. That's going to be at PWR_leagues, or you can mention one of us too, and we will look at adding that to our discussion for next time, or I should say Perino's discussion for next time. But other than that, guys, this has been Around the Scene, presented to you by Playing with Rockets. I'm your host, Ryan. That's Perino. We have enjoyed having you guys with us. Once again, we hope that you're, you know, getting something from some of this talk, even if we can't necessarily say all the things we would like to say at times. But it has been our pleasure to have you guys with us. Take care. Enjoy the rest of your day. We will see you guys next time. Peace out.